Welcome to another demo of the Robo-FTP Framework Web API. Today, we are going to show you how to quickly set up a job to upload files from a remote site and another job to download files from a remote site. We will refer to these as push and pull jobs, respectively. First, let's go through the process of installing Robo-FTP. Easy peasy. Now that we have Robo-FTP set up, we are going to set up a remote site. And that can be done through the Robo-FTP configurator program. And that is done through the Manage Sites page. Now, for this demo, the so-called remote site is actually going to be a locally installed copy of our Robo-FTP server software. So we'll put in localhost, set the server type to SFTP, and fill in our account details. And lastly, we'll give that a name. And we'll test that with the test button to make sure we can connect. Everything looks good, and we're all set there. The next thing is we want to switch our port to the one that matches the one pre-configured for this demo. And we're good. Now let's just open the Framework Web UI in our browser to ensure that everything is up and running and looks good. And as you can see, we currently have no jobs set up. Now let's go ahead and create a new job. We will start with a push job, which will upload files to our site. To create a new job, we need to issue a post request to API job create, and then group name.job name, where job name is the name we have decided to name our new job. In this case, that's going to be that my push job name here. And as part of that step, before we issue that post, we need to make sure that we're including a JSON body containing the job description. And we happen to have something pre-prepared for that. As you can see, there are two steps involved, monitor and push. The monitor step is responsible for grabbing files from the local file system. The push step is responsible for actually uploading the files we grabbed to the remote site. Now, to create our job at this point, all we need to do is some simple substitution of our placeholders. For the local path, we use the path we have set up, which is going to be our local outbox. For the site, we need to put in the name of our remote site that we pre-configured. That should match what we have in the configurator's Manage Sites page, my SFTP site here. And finally, we want to put in the remote path for that site. In this case, this will be our remote inbox directory. And now that we've made those substitutions, we can submit the HTTP request. Before I proceed, I want to point out that this is going to involve NTLM authorization in our Postman configuration that is set up in the job folder. Just remember to include that when you submit any requests. Now we can go ahead and create this new site now that all of the parameters have been filled in correctly. And we get back a status 200 OK, indicating success. Now, if we go ahead and check the Framework Web UI, you can see that the job has been created. If we go in and take a look, we can look at the config, make sure that everything looks kosher, as it does. Now let's check out the source and destination directories that we have here. Again, we have the remote inbox directory, which is running under our Robo-FTP server software, so technically it's local, even though it's a quote-unquote remote site. And our our local inbox, our local outbox contains some files which we want to transfer. So files are going to be moving from left to right here. Let's go ahead and run our job. So all we need to do is submit a request to API job start job name job group name dot job name. And we get a status 200 OK, indicating success, and we get the run ID of the current run that was invoked. Now let's just wait a minute until that's complete, and it probably is by now. Let's check the files. We have our remote inbox contains those files, and the local outbox is now empty. We can now go ahead and check the status of that run by issuing a request, a GET request to API run status. And that contains details about the job, when it started, when it ended, job name, group name, the result, 0 indicates success here, and the last message from our dashboard. Now we can also check the process steps of the job, see what was transferred over, errors on each step for each file, and so forth, returned in a convenient JSON format. And that is done through the get run steps. Once again, that takes a run ID, which was 1 in our case here. And again, you have the step name, when the step was run on that particular file, the result 0 indicating success again, source and destination, and for a monitor that's going to be an intermediary, and eventually the push will show us under that target file parameter what the final resting destination will be, remote inbox in this case. Now we will set up a similar job for downloading files, and that's going to be called a pull job. We'll name it my pull job. So we'll create that in a similar fashion. First, we will copy over our template here. And then it's a simple matter of filling in the blanks. So for site, that is going to be the same my SFTP site. The path in this case is going to be remote outbox. So there are already some files here in remote outbox. And then for deliver, we just want to put in the target destination, which is going to be our local inbox. And be sure to escape so that this is valid JSON. So two backslashes. And that's all we need. Oh, and we need to change the name so that we're creating the right job. So we have, currently we just have my push job. We submit this post request to API job create job group name dot job name with the new job name we'll be making. And once again, we get a 200 OK status indicating success. And if we refresh, that job has been created and has not yet been run. So as before, let me close these. As before, we have a directory. In this case, the remote directory is the source, and the local directory is the destination. We will be transferring files from left to right again. And let's go ahead and run that job. Instead of my push job, we are going to be issuing a post request to API job start default.myPullJob. And let's go ahead and submit that. We get a 200 OK status again, indicating success, and a run ID of 2. So we can check the status of that. And we do that again by issuing a GET request to API run status run ID. And we get some additional details about that. As before, we have the result 0 indicating success, the last message from our dashboard, and the name of the job, the group name, and so forth. And let's just tab back to our web UI. You can see that reflects what we saw earlier in the status. The job was completed successfully. And once again, we can run, get the steps for each file processed by that job. So we have the result 0 indicating success, the name of the step, the timestamp of when that was processed, any particular human readable details, and things like the source and destination of that file. And the final resting place is going to be only shown for the deliver job step, and that's our target file, and so forth. And if we go back and check the directories, you see that the files have been moved to their proper destination. And that concludes our presentation. Thanks for watching.